This is what we want from you. We have basically completed our first sort of lap around the block with Brett, going through every scale once. It took about 2.5 months. I have integrated 0 of this thing into my playing in music. I suspect that it takes a longer time than I mean, honestly, like, for me, I started this whole process off like, this is going to be awesome content. Yeah. And I think it is for a lot of people.
For sure.
And now it's this thing where, how do you even so like, I want to go back to the beginning, to major, flat 3, flat 6, not talk about conceptually, just practically. Like, let's say I'm you. What's a practice routine look like? Like, how do you go about just throwing it on the instrument? What are some things that you found helpful inside this thing?
So, I mean, what I try to do a lot of, once I kind of like, you know, got a grasp on the scale, obviously, like, I know we've talked a lot about writing things with the scale and stuff like that, writing vocabulary for yourself. But what I try to do is find a tune that I'm really familiar with, and I'll go in and I'll like map out like specific areas in a song, and I'm going to force myself to play this vocabulary or play something at it. It's very similar to like when you learned, you know, the altered scale or the diminished scale, and you're like, all right, I'm going to force myself to play it on a 2-5-1 or something. It's very similar to that. So I'll set up these areas, and then I'll just sit there and work on it until I can kind of flow into it and flow out of it, you know? I mean, that's like I do several things, but that's the thing I do the most of.
Okay, so perfect. What's a tune that like I guess,
am I lighting like really terrible?
You could stand to put on that one.
Yeah, that light would be great.
It's not as bad as your coughing. Good Lord.
My God, yeah, I need some water. Hold on 1 second.
You're good, man.
All right, cool. So, okay, how about we take something, everybody?
So like, I was actually just screwing with this before we got on, man. I like using this tune. I mean, there's a bunch of tunes you can use, but do you know that tune Recordame?
Not
Joe Henderson.
What's the progression? Let's talk about it. Let's break it down.
So it's like 4 bars of like A minor 7, and then you go to 4 bars of C minor 7. It's kind of like,
can you on your Zoom? Can you change the?
Oh yeah, let's do that.
You do the original audio.
So you go 4 bars of A minor 7 to 4 bars of C minor 7, and then that becomes a 2-5 going to B flat. Then you do this series of 2-5s in whole steps. Then you do a 2-5 to F, and then this becomes like a 6 to a 5 back to the 1.
Okay.
So I was like setting up some areas where I was like trying to force myself to play some certain scales in like 2 different places.
Where?
Where I was trying to do it was like on the C minor 7 leading to the B flat major 7.
Okay.
That big area. And then the last like F major 7 to E7. Back into A minor. So
okay.
Those are like 2 areas I was screwing around with, playing like mode 3, add flat 3, flat 6, mode 4 and stuff like that, and just kind of like, okay, when this section rolls around, I'm gonna try to force myself to do something there and just see what happens, you know.
Perfect. So wait a second. Let's just take like maybe so this is I'm not super familiar with the tune, but it's like 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 4 measures, you said, and then it's like 4 measures of C minor.
Yeah, that last bar, the fourth
It's F.
is actually F7, yeah.
2, 3, 4. 3. I see. Okay.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
And
Then to F.
oh,
It's 2-5 to F, and then
I see. Okay. So let's just isolate maybe the first time we're going to B flat. So and in your playing, so the way you would map that out is like that A would sort of be purely Dorian or your typical jazz vocabulary on that.
Yeah, exactly. Like typical A Dorian stuff, right? And then like I said, I just set up I mean, you can do a lot of stuff, right? But it gets kind of overwhelming. So I just want to set up a specific area, 1 or 2 places. And then everything else I'm playing pretty traditionally over.
And the B flat, the F leading, on the C minor leading to B flat, you would sort of do that on the last measure-ish, just kind of
like, it was like last 2 bars, like
last 2 bars.
just kind of, then trying to land on B flat in a strong way. You know, it's like setting up tension, getting to that B flat, and then playing pretty straightforward through it, and then doing the same thing on the 2-5 to F, and then E7, and then landing back on that A. Those are, to me, those are the areas where I feel like that's where you could try to play with a lot of tension and stuff, you know?
I see. So the other 2 5s, just kind of like playing those traditionally, like all those 2 5s kind of leading down.
And like I said, like eventually you could set up some stuff you're going to do on the 2 5s as well, you know what I mean? But in the beginning, I just tried to set up like a very specific 1 or 2 places where I'm going to try to do this, and then. Okay,
and can we hear like what? Okay, so what would you do on that F7 area?
Let's see here. Can you hear it? Let me see if I can play a track or something.
Sure.
Can you hear this track?
Yeah.
Okay, it's. All right, 1 second.
Sure.
Let me find the top real quick. All right. Okay. That was terrible. But you see what I'm just kind of getting.
That's some good shit. You had some good shit in there. Okay, can we just step back for a second and talk about the kinds of lines you were playing in Dorian? That was a lot of like.
So
2 notes per string, 1 note per string kind of thing.
Yeah, I do a lot. I do a lot of 2-1-2 and also like 2-1-3. I mean, it's like 3 note per string, and then the kind of 2-1-2 Tim Miller stuff, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't really know exactly how he does it. I just tried to screw around with that idea of 2 notes, 1 note, 2 note, and then kind of find out my own ways of doing it.
He was my teacher in college.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Nice, man. How was that?
Yeah. It was good. I took some lessons with him like at Berkeley, and then I went to his house a few times for private lessons, and he was very neat. I remember that. It was just like his pencils were like all like the same like length, and it was just like
I can see
it's very consistent with his you know.
Yeah, I can see that, man.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I just mess around with
what was that?
Popular ideas like that, you know. There you go.
Okay, so like
I'm thinking about it as like 2 different 2-1-2 shapes. You have 2-1-2 here, and then on the G through the E string.
So wait a second, down here, was that it? Oh, 2-1-2.
And then you have another 2-1-2 starting on the G string.
like that.
And then like you can, and then like and I think I learned this one from Brett way back in the day, but it's like these individual 2-1-2 shapes. Like stuff like that.
So you're just thinking like
2 starting on every string. Yeah. Yeah. Stuff like that.
I don't play like that, but that's sick.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Sick. How are you picking? Just downs?
Down, hammer, down, hammer.
Sick. That's awesome. Okay. So when you were going, you had a cool thing going to the B flat. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was one of these things that I do like. It's like one of my freaking licks, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I literally play this lick.
It's cool.
Dude, it's
You
like,
have a celebration. Hit a piñata.
yeah, but it's like I basically when I think mode 3, I like always just go to this stupid lick. But I think it was like that kind of thing. And to me, this is just a Holdsworth movement.
And you
Two
were
variations of it. You know what I mean?
in your mind harmonically. This fits F,
This is working over the F7 chord.
but this is like coming out of what, B flat mode 3?
Yeah, I'm playing B flat mode 3. Yeah, exactly. And now, okay, now check this out, man. There's no F7 in B flat mode 3.
Right.
You do have like a G flat minor 7. So I kind of think of it in terms of upper structures. If you think G flat minor 7 against F7, that's like an F7 altered sound. And then you also have like the Coltrane changes built into it. So that's there's a lot of ways to use mode 3 over a 2-5-1, but that's
So I totally see that. So you're thinking that, because you have that G flat minor, and then your B flat mode 3. So okay, so the pattern started. You think about the starting point as something that relates to F7 or B flat 7 or C.
I'm actually relating it all to B flat.
B flat. So you're seeing it like.
Sorry, I'm seeing B flat mode 3, and I'm just aware that it's going to work over F7, you know, but I'm not really even thinking about F being the root. I'm actually really thinking about the key center B flat, because that's where I'm resolving to as well, you know?
Now that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so this thing or whatever, it's like that movement.
That thing?
Yeah, it's that thing, and then it's a different variation of that. You know what I mean? It's basically that same movement, but a different variation.
I know what you mean, but I don't know what you're doing.
You know what I'm saying?
Can you break that down for us?
Yeah, you got that first bar?
Yeah. Index finger?
Yeah, pointer finger. There you go.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna reach up, grab like a tritone, and you're gonna do like this, almost like pentatonic shape.
Oh, you're shifting forward with your index.
And then I have this pulse fingering kind of.
Yeah. What's that?
Oh, just mode 3 shit, man.
Oh, okay.
It's that same series of, it's that same movement, but applied to that different string set with a different kind of shape. And then
Okay, it's crucial to see the scale, huh? So
yeah, it helps.
are you I guess with the B flat mode 3, like is this movement what's the bigger context you're seeing? I guess, like, what's the, for me, like, I can kind of see like some of the stuff here, but when you move it to this area, how free are you in the middle of the lick to change up some things when you're in the middle of a movement, I guess would be the question.
I basically just have a lot of variations of kind of the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like this whole thing is, and then the next part of it is really this, but up a major third.
I see.
You see what I'm saying? I'm seeing like B flat as being my root, and then when I get here, I'm seeing D as my root. Because, you know, D mode 3, B flat mode 3.
And G flat when you up, okay.
Yeah.
So it's all just kind of like transpose. Okay, wait. So this would be like one chunk.
That's one chunk right there.
And when you do that tritone link, oh, okay, so now you're in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still did not get the end of it. I'm sorry to bother you. I know this is
man, you're good.
slow. And then here, from this point.
I think you got it. There it is. Yeah. See, that's the other chunk.
Okay, so that. I got greedy. Fuck. I lost it again. Okay, this part.
But yeah.
That's the part that's fucking me up. Yeah, okay. If you were transposing it down to B flat, it would be. That's a fucked up sounding lick.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, to me, that's just like inspiration from like the shit you hear Holdsworth do, but then I just try to apply it to that scale. You know what I mean?
Yeah, is this right?
Yeah.
The fingering, we're doing it. You're doing it differently right here, so it's like.
Yeah, the only note I use my pinky for is the B flat.
Oh. Wait a second. So how do you? What's happening after this?
And then
I see. Wow, that is different. Okay, I see. I get it. Oh my God. Is that right?
that's right, man.
Okay, so you're playing
once I would get like a chunk, man, you just like practice moving a chunk in major thirds, and you start seeing it really clearly. And then you move that. So I'm moving the same chunk. And you do the same thing with. She's moving that chunk in major thirds, and it makes it so much easier to see it. You're basically seeing it as like root position moving in major thirds. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you were adding a little thing here. What were you doing to connect to the next position?
now you're set up.
Okay. Okay, this is so embarrassing. By the way, this stuff I've not humiliated myself on camera quite as hard as I have in the last 2 months.
Dude, that's like a lot of courage, man.
Huh?
That takes a lot of courage, man.
Oh, it's I don't know if it's courage, but it's something. I'm just at this point, I'm ready for other industries.
I hear you, man. But does that kind of make sense? Like, you just kind of develop these chunks, and then they become just like licks. And then when I'm trying to improvise,
that makes total sense. My problem is that, like, you know, when I since this has shifting in it, when I go to this area, I'm kind of uncertain where I'm shifting to, if like I'm in the right half step. But like that's just mapping out, you know, the pattern.
yeah.
As you go up. Oh, okay, now what about, let's talk about purely major flat 3, flat 6.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how would the application of that look? Like, let's say we take a different tune, like one that, like, you know, I play a lot, like I don't know, Autumn Leaves or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
What would be like a potential place in a tune like that where you would throw flat 3, flat 6?
Man, you could do it literally over all of those 2/5. So like the 2.
Would this be something you save for 2/5s, or something that you kind of use? Would you strategize?
Both, man. So you know what, man? Actually, can I show you something real quick?
Yeah, of course.
Let me.
You might have to share.
Oh, screen sharing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I had this one thing I wrote for a friend or whatever. Where the hell is it? Oh, it's right here. And it was basically trying to almost make the scale sound like normal on those minor 2/5s, but then other places you really kind of take advantage of all the added notes and making it sound more chaotic, right?
Black Orphan.
Yeah, you know, do you know this tune?
Yeah.
It's similar. I mean, it's similar. I know it's not Autumn Leaves, but like this line. Let me see here. Can you hear the pro thing? So that's a 2/5 out of that scale. It sounds pretty normal. This one too. That's all that scale, that stuff. And then, but this part over here is more like thinking, just, you know, not really trying to resolve to any specific chord, but just thinking that scale on top of the entire chord progression. It actually goes into some other places, but you kind of get the idea, right?
I see. Oh, it's like that. I see you're like above you have the analysis of what's going on.
I forgot. I thought this was all flat 3, flat 6, but it goes into A mode.
Yeah.
But that's basically just, it's the same kind of thing. Over that tune, I would just think B flat, major, add flat 3, flat 6 over Autumn Leaves.
Cool. Maybe turn off the screen share so we get you back. There. Cool.
Over Autumn Leaves, I would just think B flat, right? Because you have the 2/5 and B flat, and all those chords are in that scale. And then same thing with the minor 2/5.
Yeah, you just stay
in that scale. Yeah.
Stay in the B flat. So, like, if you were okay, so what are some, I guess, lines from that scale that like are go-tos for you?
I like this one actually. Something like that, right? Where I'm kind of starting. Say this is like a 2. Starting on the 2. And then I kind of and then for the 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And then from here, man, it's like you can start adding in all the like, you know, Holdsworth movement thing. This is similar to the line we just played, but it's different because it's not mode 3. Something like that.
Okay, so you're. I guess I don't see this.
You can just do something like that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and then, you know, all the like all those little patterns that you already know about, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
That's like kind of the go-to stuff, man, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so when you went up here, what the fuck is this?
To me, man, this is like
right. Oh,
like E flat diminished major 7.
yeah.
It's like trying to see the chords in that scale. Yeah.
That is a nice sound.
Yeah, that's a cool sound. But yeah, and then like some of the subsets too. Like this is I actually thought about this subset before I even knew it was coming out of that scale, where it's almost like a Hungarian minor scale, where you add in like the natural 11 too. I really like kind of playing inside that scale over those.
Yeah.
You know, like that kind of sound or whatever.
Okay. And this is over what?
That's like I would treat that over the minor 2/5 part.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's like a Hungarian minor is like a subset of that scale.
I see that. Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of like playing almost like G harmonic minor.
Yeah, with the sharp 11.
11, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
So it's like you can kind of like take advantage of some of the subsets over the minor key centers or whatever, and then, you know, it's just, you can make it sound like a lot of different things because it's a 9-note scale, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would try to do. You know?
Do you have like? Are you still in a place where? I guess. Okay. I'm really getting clearly from both you and Brett that, like, you know, the Guitar Pro etude writing is a central piece in this, to sort of like pave a path that's like concrete through like the scale. Like, you know, you make choices, you learn what. Like for me, I know with my character, if I could convince myself to write it down, the part where I sit down and learn what I wrote would never follow.
Yeah, I hear you, man. That's a struggle for me too, man. Because
like how often do you write something and then never get around to actually putting it down on the instrument?
you know, I actually do it more with actual transcriptions than I do with the actual things that I write. So like,
what do you mean?
If I want to learn like a Sonny Stitt solo or whatever the hell, I'll like transcribe a whole solo. I'm like, oh hell yeah, and then I'll never learn it. You know?
Yeah.
But like the things that I actually take time to write with this material, I actually sit down and learn it because
okay.
I don't know. I'm really gonna. I guess I'm like more excited to use it. I guess you know what I mean. But with the transcriptions, I've been guilty of that, man. But with this stuff, yeah, I tend to actually learn it. But I mean, it happens. You know what I mean? Like, and especially if I'm just writing a small lick, I'll definitely learn that. But if I write like a whole big thing, I probably won't learn that. You know, so you have to kind of do it in chunks. You know. But it's been really important for me because I can sit here and like have the ideas and just improvise with them and fall into certain things. But eventually I have to just go down and really take some time, and then I can come up with stuff I wouldn't have came up with through improvisation.
How often do you sit down with just sort of a scale and practice moving things not in the context of an entire tune, not writing something through it, but just work on like fluency with a sort of entire, is that something you spend time with in some sort of regular basis?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much do that every day. Like, that's kind of the warm-up where I'll just, it's almost like the constant eighth note thing, right? You pick a sound and then you just play a constant rhythm, and then that kind of serves as two things. It's a good warm-up, but it's also, can you develop the ability to just continuously not stop and fill in all the gaps where, your head would be telling you to stop because you can't see the scale or whatever.
Can you do that with like, kind of a slowly, like just an eighth note thing with like C major, flat 3, flat 6?
Yeah, we'll try that. So we got... I got added a couple notes in there somewhere, but that's the idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah. As long as
you just kind of don't stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. It's great. I mean, I think that's sort of one of the many missing things for us. But the ability to do that and actually just not be locked in.
Yeah, I normally do it like I don't normally do it just like straight up by myself. I'll normally like loop a chord in the background or something to give me some sort of context. You know what I mean? Like I would do this too when I'd write songs, is I would make sections that were just specifically a scale. And then I would just like, loop those sections and then just play that scale like without stopping and stuff like that, like mode 3 and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Now, I see like that 1-2-1 thing. That's a major thing in your playing, right?
Yeah.
I see those patterns. It's sort of like, I see that. I see those Holdsworth kind of diagonally down type movements a lot. I mean, technically, like, a lot of, is there a lot of kind of one note per string things in your playing, or?
Not really, man, because, because I'm more of a legato player,
Yeah.
So I kind of rely on having multiple notes on a string.
Okay.
I don't have a lot of like one note per string ideas. You know what I mean? I messed around with, like ideas like that where they're all just one note per string, but they don't typically come out in my playing because I really can't play them as fast as I'd want to,
Mm-hmm.
I can't pick that stuff. I've messed around with ideas where you like do the hammer on from nowhere kind of thing.
Yep.
Trying to make that stuff work, but I don't work on it all that much, but not really, man. I'm at least need like I could do 2 notes, 1 note, and then 2 notes, but purely 1 note per string. I haven't messed.
And how about like those? Because like in Alan's playing, I saw a lot of stuff where it's kind of like a lot of 3-note sweeps.
Like sweeping.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do that stuff. You know what I mean? Like those kind of like little sweep or whatever.
Yeah, the 3 notes thing, kind of like 2 notes and then like a note to a pull off, basically.
Yeah. I do some of that stuff. I do it with the 2-1-2. Like the 2-1-2 stuff as well. Sometimes I'll sweep that. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
that kind of stuff.
Okay. Now, in terms of that major scale with the flat 6, flat 3, how much time have you spent with like the 9 across positions? Is that something that
You saying like the 3 note per string positions or whatever?
Yeah, the string position. Is that something that like you went through like for a period of time, or?
Yeah, I did, man. Like I logged a lot of these scales in like a fretboard paper book. You know what I mean? That has the fretboard diagrams. Like I logged them all 3 note, 4 note per string and stuff like that. And I did practice that stuff, but it doesn't really come out in my playing all that much because I don't know. You know what I mean? I guess I practiced it early on, and then I didn't really mess with it that much. I more just started trying to because then it kind of became almost like I was thinking of like a completely different scale, and I really started to try to just think about adding 2 notes to the major scale. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean,
that's the rabbit hole that I find myself in when I'm trying to do that. It's like, it seems like, especially like when you're using those passing tones at the edges of a pattern, it becomes like really visually foreign.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it doesn't, all of a sudden, like it's not the way that you would finger a major scale, and it's
it just seems easier to think about seeing those scale passages. Thinking of it as just seeing my major scale as my main template, and then just seeing where those, you know, the A flat and the E flat are, you know?
Yeah.
That to me became easier than thinking, oh, what's practicing 3 note per string, and then almost seeing it as like a completely different scale, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, cool. Nick, do you have any practice questions?
I don't. None are coming to mind that you haven't asked yet.
I mean, I just don't want it to, you know. I feel like I'm doing everything except for actually putting in the time. That's all the most intelligent questions.
Dude, I hear you.
Now I gotta actually learn it. Cool. All right.
Dude, I would, man, I mean, I'm sure you do this in your own kind of way, but man, I'd really sit down and just write out some licks, you know, that make sense to you with it, and then just like insert, you know what I mean? Very forcefully, and then it eventually becomes more organic, you know?
Yeah. That's my approach with my wife. I need to take it to music now.
Yeah, man.
That's tried and true. It's working out.
I'm tested.
Wait, so with the 8th note exercise, do you do that with like other subdivisions, or when you practice other subdivisions, is it more just writing out like a lick and then you have like language for those other ones there?
So you do the constant subdivision thing. Yeah, you do it with as many subdivisions as you can think: 8th notes, triplets, 16th notes, quintuplets, whatever you can think of. I'm not going to try to do any of that on camera because it's going to get bad, but like I would do that. Me and my drummer actually do that because I'm not afraid to really suck in front of him. We'll practice these things. We're like, all right, this is all going to be just, you know, like 16th note triplets or whatever. We're not allowed to stop playing. We'll try to do it through changes and stuff like that. And, you know, we'll fail most of the time, but a lot of times we'll get it and it sounds sick, you know, and you can just feel yourself freeing up and seeing the fretboard in ways you so much more clearly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Try to do it in as many subdivisions as you can think to do it, because it's going to put you in a different headspace. And you, especially if you're doing, like, say you do it through changes. If you do 8th notes, you're going to be switching to a different scale at a different time than you would be, say, if you're playing triplets or 16th notes. You know what I mean? So.
Before we conclude, can you, with the 1-to-1 or 2-on-2 patterns, what are, like, just talking about major, what are some of your kind of go-tos? For
the major scale?
Yeah, just major scale ones, because that's not something I really dug into too deeply.
Man, there's a lot. I mean, I do basic ones with like just like major 7 arpeggios.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you can also do these really cool ones if you can see like pentatonic inside the major. I really like those sounding ones, you know.
What was that?
So this is like thinking about A minor pentatonic. So the first one, and then the next one is.
Yeah.
And then you do that, you just repeat that in octaves.
I fucking love that.
Yeah, man. And
that's awesome.
yeah, that's it.
I love that. That's great. Okay.
Yeah, man. You know, and you just literally don't even think about like anything other than just 2 notes here, 1 note here, 2 note here, and then just you come up with some really cool sounding stuff, you know?
Yeah. So it tends to be 2-1-2 for your playing, not 1-2-1.
Oh, 2-1-2 for sure.
2-1-2.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay, I see.
mostly 2-1-2. Yeah, like this is. But I'm thinking 2-1-2 and then starting 2-1-2 on a different string. So I'm looking at those as like different.
And I'm looking at your picking. It looks like down, down, up. Is that...
I'm hammering on the last note. Do what?
Is it an upstroke on the 3rd string? Is it like down, down, up?
Oh yeah, it is an upstroke.
Yeah.
Talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, because mine would definitely be down.
You know. Yeah.
Why is it an upstroke and not a downstroke?
Bro, I don't know, man. That's a great question. That's just what felt natural, you know? You know, just what felt natural to me.
Even when you're playing fast, it's going to be an upstroke?
Yeah.
Ah.
I mean, I guess you would probably sweep pick something like that, right?
Yeah. I would go. I made like I even proposed it for Jamtrack Central. By the way, we need to put this guy in touch with what's his face?
Oh yeah, Guy.
But Dan Guy.
Yeah,
dude, that Dan Guy would love you. That's the Jamtrack Central dude.
Look it up, man.
Yeah, I will. But yeah, I proposed to them to do a thing about legato sweeps, where it's just like you play legato and do this, and I made a video, and then I realized I don't sweep. I like, oh, it's like legato sweeps, and I was just like, blah, 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 and I was just like, looked at the video, it's just like separated motions, it's just like,
You're like, oh wow, a little bit contradictory, right?
I still think it's a good idea if somebody could do it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's like, I feel like you could probably conquer anything with those 2 techniques, legato and sweeping, right?
Well, I mean, the idea would just be like to play legato and just use rest strokes in the middle.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
I know, man. I've tried doing stuff like that, 3-1-3-1-3, and it's just a sweep motion all the way through.
Yeah. I mean,
That kind of thing.
that's how I thought I played, but
Yeah.
if you look at it, it's not true.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, dude. I basically developed my technique from trying to just avoid alternate picking. I just can't alternate pick. You know what I mean? That's how.
Really?
Yeah. So like, I started doing stuff where it's like
Just playing
hammer
twice and doing the last.
pick hammer. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sort of thing or whatever, and that felt pretty good.
Yeah, man. It's this is a different world. Like I'm sick of hearing myself saying it, copping out this way. But like, I feel like I've spent the last decade focused on nothing but picking, You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah. Well, because you do the gypsy jazz stuff, man. I mean, you kind of have to pick. That's the
there's
style.
no choice. Yeah, there's no choice. Everything is picking with your wrist up, like it's forceful. It's like fast stuff, and but I've always despised like people who pick a lot on electric. Like, you know, I hated this, like the Miola, McLaughlin. To this day, man, I just don't understand why people like it. Like McLaughlin, it's like, oh, you gotta open your ears. I'm like, how much more open?
That's what I'm saying, man. And I always get hate for that. I'm like, I don't really dig D Miola, McLaughlin. It's not harmonically.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it is a certain extent, but like it's the sound and the technique.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it's just like making love. If it's too dry, then you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, you're doing it wrong. Yeah, man. I'm glad you said that though, man, because I feel the same way, dude. But once you say something like that, you know, you're just a fucking hater. You know what I mean?
Oh, I mostly hate things. There's very few things I like.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nick, can you attest to that?
Oh yeah, biggest hater I know.
Yeah, by far. All right. Well, great. This has actually been super insightful. I'm glad we did this because, you know, like I love Brett, but he has a way of saying like everything's like, yeah, that's cool, man. You can do that. You can do that. Yep. And it's just like everything's like wide open. And it's just like, I can do anything.
I mean, that's the thing. Like you can, I mean, for me, it's like I really started kind of coming up with, I guess, sort of almost my own rules of using this stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I was working on this thing the other day where it's just over like a Dorian vamp where I was justifying using certain scales because they had fragments of A Dorian in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So what scales?
It was actually just mode 3, but different mode 3s.
Like the one, like E mode 3 kind of thing?
Hold on, let me pull it up because I don't even remember it. But it ended up sounding insane, but I was just like justifying it because I could see like, you know what I mean, like fragments of that chord in the scale, even though one of them didn't have the root note, but it had like the 7th, the 3rd, and the 6th in it or whatever. Like this whole line right here. So let me see. A jazz major, flat 3, flat 6, B flat mode 3, A flat mode 3. So that's all over A Dorian. And it sounds kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, the A flat mode 3 is like playing E mode 3, which would relate to it. It would have the A minor triad. But the other one, the third one, is messed.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But it's just like, and that, you know, it's cool because that's just mode 3, man. Like that's what I'm kind of into, is just taking one scale and seeing like how many different ways I can use it, and then it, you know, rather than thinking, oh, like 50 million scales, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But anyways,
when was it that you started, like with Brett? Like how long ago was it when you like first started practicing this kind of language?
Oh man, God, dude, hold on, let me think. That had to have been. When did I do that thing? When did you come to the sanctuary and I got to open up for you?
2000.
Was that 2020 or was that?
No, 19.
It was probably like around that time is when he really, I think he started really like I think he had the theory of like, this is all scales. And then I was just starting to dip my toes in like, oh man, mode 3. And I had like movements, but I didn't know what scales they belonged to. I was like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think around that time I was like kind of introduced to that world.
But you were already kind of deeply, like you were transcribing Alan, you knew lines, but you just didn't have like a system.
No, I didn't have a system. I was like playing them more instinct and like trying to just like, oh, it sounds cool here. I really don't know why that works, but it sounds cool here. And if I resolve to it out of it correctly, it's going to sound nice. You know what I mean? And I was really just trying to use my ear to do these things instead of like having a system. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And if I did have a system, it was like in its infant stages, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Sick. Okay, great. We'll keep working on it and let you know if we have any questions. Thank you for your time. We will post links to you and your stuff. And
Dude, appreciate it, man.
Really appreciate it, man.
I'm like that's
such a
great
pleasure.
value of Brett Stein, you know.
Oh, yeah, you're a substitute teacher.